You are safe now. Let your thoughts slow. The world around you can wait. For now, we're drifting quietly into the edge of what is known and what is purely possible. Let your mind settle as we begin to explore the body of a being not born of Earth. Now we begin with what alien bodies might really look like. When imagining the biology of extraterrestrial life, we often project human traits onto the unknown. But true alien anatomy could be stranger than our language can describe. Their bodies may not follow the symmetry we know. They may not even have a front and back, a head and limbs, or anything resembling organs. Instead, life shaped by distant suns might arise in forms dictated by gravity, chemistry, and pressures we cannot feel. Imagine a being from a world of dense gases, where floating is easier than walking. Their bodies might be balloon-like, filled with lighter-than-air substances, expanding and contracting as they drift through layers of their thick atmosphere. Instead of legs, they may possess tendrils that pulse with controlled inflation, propelling them forward with every rhythm. Their outer skin could be translucent, not for camouflage, but for solar harvesting or radiative cooling. On a colder planet, far from its star, the need for heat conservation could reshape life entirely. A creature might have dense insulation layered over a muscular structure filled with antifreeze-like fluids. Instead of blood, its internal flow might be based on liquid methane or ammonia, giving it the ability to function at temperatures that would freeze our cells instantly. Their organs, if they exist in compartments, may not be locked in a single location. Their brain might migrate slowly within their body, adjusting to temperature or nutrient needs. Some alien beings might be structured without any internal division at all. Every cell could serve as brain, muscle, and sensor simultaneously, forming a colony-like consciousness where the entire body thinks. These creatures would not have a heart because each part of them is alive in equal measure, constantly communicating, adjusting, and responding as one living field. Other species might have outer shells, like living armor, not grown once, but continuously reshaped by the environment. Their bones could be made of minerals unknown to us, flexible under pressure, crystalline in low gravity. Or they might carry symbiotic life forms on their surface, a living coat of protective, responsive organisms that act as both clothing and immune system. Even the idea of an organ might not apply. What if an alien body works more like a fractal, with repeating systems within systems, each part echoing the whole? What if their form changes with age, season, or mood? We cannot assume our blueprint applies. The deeper we look, the more we realize the alien body, wherever it exists, will not just challenge our biology textbooks. It will rewrite them from the inside out. Now we move into skeletal structures on other worlds, where bones may be more than bones and structure defies what we know. Wherever life arises, form must follow function, and gravity writes the rules. On Earth, bones evolved to balance strength and weight, to support movement and protect organs. But out there, in the alien hush of foreign atmospheres and unseen gravities, skeletons could take shapes stranger than our most vivid dreams. Think of creatures walking beneath a heavier sky, their bodies compressed, dense, held together by thick latticeworks of mineral or metal-based scaffolding. On low-gravity planets, creatures may stretch tall and fragile, needing only soft frameworks, perhaps cartilage-like tissues hardened with silicates or crystallized compounds that resonate when they move. Imagine a skeleton that isn't hidden inside, but exposed, glimmering in the sunlight, a living exosuit built from organic alloys. Or creatures whose bones are flexible, grown in segments, able to expand and retract with changing temperatures. On some worlds, calcium may be rare. Life might instead borrow titanium, aluminum, or even unknown elements, integrating them into a tough, responsive framework. These structures could heal like ours, or behave like plants growing, segmenting, and even shedding like bark. Skeletons might not be static. They could pulse with life, circulating fluids or signals through hollow channels carved into the very bones. Some alien bones might even serve dual purposes, acting as storage tanks for energy or acoustic chambers for communication through resonance. And then there are the beings that need no bones at all. Their worlds may favor the soft and the slow. Think gelatinous creatures with internal tension bands, or life forms that shift shapes using hydraulic pressure and internal bladders, maintaining structure through fluid dynamics. In icy realms, skeletal forms may be crystalline fragile under force, but perfect for transmitting vibrations or light, allowing for whole-body sensing. In hot volcanic zones, bones might be fused with heteroresistant compounds, protecting inner organs from thermal extremes. Movement defines what bones must do. On Earth, joints and hinges evolve to allow rotation, flexion, speed. But alien worlds might require new kinds of movement. Creatures with spiral bones that unwind to leap. Beings with sliding plates. Bones like puzzles that rearrange depending on posture or mood. Even magnetically structured skeletons, held in shape by invisible forces rather than ligaments, realigning instantly under new stimuli. Some alien anatomies might combine internal and external structures, part vertebrate, part exoskeleton, shifting armor when threatened or shedding layers during growth. Where evolution writes in unfamiliar alphabets, the skeleton becomes not just a framework, but a living machine. Alien bones may store memory, pulse with bioelectric signals, or adapt across generations. Now we move deeper into the anatomy of motion into muscles, movement, and locomotion in alien life. On Earth, muscles contract by sliding filaments, pulling bones and tendons with extraordinary precision. But in other worlds, the physics of movement could be shaped by 1,000 unknown forces. Picture an alien creature rising under thick gravity, not with muscles made of protein, but with fibrous cords of metallic filaments, pulsing with magnetism. These strands might not contract, but coil and uncoil like springs, storing energy and releasing it in carefully timed bursts, moving not by tension, but by oscillation. In weightless or low-gravity environments, movement becomes less about overcoming weight and more about propulsion, glide, and control. Alien musculature might resemble bundles of cilia or undulating sheets that ripple across the body to generate drift. Muscles might not even reside beneath skin. They could exist along the exterior, like vines that contract and twist, pulling limbs into motion with visible pulses. In aquatic alien worlds, movement may come from pressure waves, muscles that squeeze entire chambers, creating sudden jets of propulsion, or muscular fans that create resonant vibrations to swim through thick, oily oceans. Imagine a being whose muscles are bioelectric engines, firing with surges of voltage instead of chemical triggers. They could power movement not with food, but with ambient radiation or magnetic fields absorbed from the planet's crust. Others might use hydraulic systems, fluid-filled tubes, expanding and contracting with incredible speed and force, pumping motion through controlled internal pressure. In extreme cold, muscle analogs may work with near-zero elasticity, flexing slowly but with immense force, like frozen tendons stretching under deliberate command. There may be no standard direction to movement. An alien might have no front or back capable of choosing direction based on need. with musculature distributed in radial patterns that allow movement in any axis. Think of limbs that twist independently, or bodies that roll into spheres, with internal bands tightening to generate rotation. In burrowing species, muscles could resemble drills, twisting cartilage or bone in spirals, boring through rock or ice with endless grinding. Some creatures might even alter their musculature as they move, shifting chemical composition, changing texture, or stiffening with tension to suit terrain. Others might be symbiotic, using parasitic muscles from another organism, working together as a living machine. Communication could occur through movement itself, with musculature producing audible pulses, color shifts during locomotion. And what about those that fly not with wings, but with movement born from lightness and thermal control? Creatures might muscle their way through skies using expandable membranes, thermally driven flaps, or even pressure-sensitive balloon-like limbs that inflate and shift with precise control. Now we descend into the hidden networks that keep a body alive, the circulatory systems of alien life. On Earth, our blood is a river of oxygen, nutrients, and information coursing through vessels, driven by the steady pump of a heart. But in the deep architectures of alien biology, circulation could be far more than a delivery service. It could be the system that controls color, camouflage, temperature, or even memory, a living current that defines what it means to be alive. Imagine a creature whose circulatory fluid isn't red but silver, thick with liquid metal, conducting not just nutrients but electricity. In such a body, motion and thought may travel along the same paths. Vessels could be lined with magnetically active tissue, adjusting flow with pulses of force instead of valves. Where oxygen is scarce or irrelevant, this fluid might carry entirely different payloads: methane, sulfur, or even radiation-absorbing compounds, custom-built for the alien environment it evolved in. Some circulatory systems may not use tubes at all. In low-gravity environments, internal flow might be replaced with cellular diffusion or fluid fields, the organism's entire interior awash in a nutrient-rich plasma, pulsing gently through contractions of the whole body rather than specific channels. Other life forms might pump fluid through peristaltic waves, one massive, flexible organ squeezing in rhythm, rippling life outward like the beat of a drum beneath skin. Consider a species that uses color in its blood as a communication tool. When threatened, its circulatory fluid could flash through its body in bright ultraviolet bursts, visible only to others of its kind. Or perhaps its blood is a photosensitive gel, turning darker in sunlight to absorb more energy. On some toxic planets, blood might be acidic, dissolving and breaking down food mid-circulation, or laced with antifreeze-like molecules to prevent freezing in sub-zero climates. And what if the heart isn't singular? Some aliens may have multiple pumps, distributed systems working in harmony, each controlling a region of the body. Others might reverse the whole concept of circulation, pumping the outer fluids inward, drawing from the environment itself. Or their heart-like organ may not beat at all, but hums with bioresonance, vibrating in tune with magnetic fields or gravitational shifts. There might even be systems that share circulation with other beings. In hive organisms or symbiotic collectives, fluids could pass from body to body, carrying not just nutrients, but emotion or thought. And in some species, circulation may change entirely across life stages. A larval form with pulsing veins, becoming a mature organism with crystallized channels and slow capillary drift. Alien circulatory systems won't just support the body, they'll shape the experience of being. They might glow, sing, harden, branch, or leak light. Now we seep into the veins of something unfamiliar, into the fluids that pulse and swirl within alien anatomy. On Earth, Blood is a brilliant solution. Iron-tinted, water-based, designed to carry oxygen and regulate heat. But the universe is not bound by our chemistry. Where other elements dominate and other needs arise, internal fluids may shimmer with metals, boil with gases, or glow faintly with radiation. Crafted by the logic of alien evolution, imagine a fluid rich in copper or cobalt, flowing not red but blue or green, conducting electricity more efficiently than any nerve. Such a being might regulate thought and muscle with a single shared system, using currents of ions instead of neurotransmitters. Or perhaps their internal chemistry runs on mercury-like fluids, dense and heavy, pooling in response to motion and gravitational shifts, offering a stabilizing core in a chaotic environment. These fluids wouldn't just carry life, they might shape it. On frozen moons or icy planets, water would be useless as a circulatory base. In its place, antifreeze-like alcohols or ammonia compounds might form the basis of a liquid life stream. These would remain fluid in sub-zero conditions, absorbing energy from faint stars and preserving chemical reactions in slow, deliberate cycles. Alien life in such places may evolve with syrupy, viscous fluids, moving not with speed, but with incredible control and efficiency, preventing cellular rupture as they endure long, frozen seasons. In more extreme realms around radioactive stars, inside volcanic caverns, or suspended in dense atmospheres, internal fluids might function as shields. Imagine bodily liquids that absorb or reflect radiation, laced with particles that bind to dangerous ions, filtering and repurposing them. A being in such an environment might glow from within, its fluids converting raw energy into biological fuel, like a living reactor wrapped in skin. Some internal chemistries may rely on gases rather than liquids, helium or hydrogen bubbling through internal sacs, keeping the creature buoyant and thermally stable, or on dust-like suspensions, where solid particles float within a gel matrix, transferring signals through vibration instead of flow. Others may possess dual systems, a dense metallic fluid for power and protection, and a lighter, reactive liquid for communication or healing. Where internal chemistry becomes strange, so too might the organs that produce or recycle it. Glands that distill metals from rock, cells that capture atmospheric lightning to catalyze reactions, tissues that crystallize fluids temporarily for storage or defense. And these alien fluids may not stay inside. They might be externalized in rituals, combat, or reproduction, acting as language or camouflage, or even forming tools and temporary limbs before being reabsorbed. Now we move into the deepest chamber, the core that drives it all. The heart, as we know it, is a rhythmic marvel, a four-chambered pump that pulses with precision. But in alien life, where gravity, chemistry, and biology write new rules, the organ that powers the body could look like anything: a spiral, a mesh, a crystalline chamber, and it may do far more than simply pump fluid. Imagine an alien heart that is not made of muscle, but of coiled fibers composed of heat-reactive tissue. When warmed, it expands, pushing fluid outward, and when cooled, it contracts, pulling fluid back in, a thermal engine nestled deep within the body. Such a system could adapt instantly to environmental changes, shifting rhythms to match outside temperatures, pulsing faster in heat, slowing to near stillness in the cold. Or picture a heart that doesn't beat at all, but spins. A rotary core with rotating valves, acting like a turbine, continuously circulating metallic fluids without pause. The sound it makes might not be a thump, but a low, continuous hum, vibrating through the creature's skeleton. perhaps used for communication or echolocation. Some hearts might even glow bioluminescent chambers visible through translucent skin, pulsing with internal light that signals stress, hunger, or attraction. There could be more than one. In some alien anatomies, redundancy may be evolution's answer to survival. A species might have 2, 3, or even 10 hearts, each responsible for a separate part of the body, allowing for localized control. One heart could power limbs, another the brain, another the skin's defenses. These systems might work independently or sync in harmonious patterns, sending ripples of motion through the body like waves on a liquid surface. And then there are beings where the heart is everywhere, distributed network of pulsing nodes, each one powering its local region. In a creature built from segments or growing endlessly, this decentralized system would allow for flexibility and near-instant regeneration. If a node is lost, others pick up the load, reshaping the flow in real time. Some hearts may not just move fluid, they may transform it. Envision a catalytic core that changes the composition of what passes through it, charging blood with energy, adjusting its pH or chemical load depending on what the body requires. It might not be made of tissue at all, but of hard, mineral-like structures. On some planets, energy may come not from digestion, but from fusion, radiation, or even magnetic fields. The heart, in such cases, may double as a converter, a biological dynamo turning cosmic forces into life. It may pulse with charged particles, emitting soft radiation or absorbing it for fuel. This is no simple pump. It is the pulse of adaptation, of alien survival, and the link between chemistry and motion. From this engine of life, everything flows outward, including the organs shaped not for support, but for versatility. Now we slip into the realm of versatility, alien organs with multiple purposes, evolving not through excess, but through elegant convergence. On Earth, specialization is common. The liver cleans, the lungs breathe, the heart pumps. But alien evolution, shaped by harsher climates and resource scarcity, may favor complexity packed into singular forms. One organ, many roles, biology condensed into biological Swiss Army knives. Imagine a gland that filters toxins, stores energy, and produces communication signals, all in one. In a sulfur-rich environment, an organ might detoxify internal chemicals while simultaneously excreting pheromones, allowing the creature to clean its blood and broadcast its mood. Or picture a digestive organ that doubles as an incubator, slowly breaking down nutrients, then switching to nourish offspring during reproduction. Within such systems, the line between eating and birthing may blur entirely. There might be an organ that digests light and processes sound, membranes that shift shape and sensitivity, adapting to different wavelengths. In aquatic alien life, such hybrid organs might both hear vibrations and filter microscopic nutrients from water, feeding and perceiving in a single act. Or perhaps creatures have expandable pouches that act as both lungs and buoyancy sacs, inflating to float in dense atmospheres while also extracting trace gases for respiration. Some organs may be reactive, changing functions based on need. A fluid sac might be used to store water during drought, but harden into a muscular structure for defense in hostile moments. In battle, the same organ might pulse outward, releasing electric discharges or defensive chemicals, a sudden shift from storage to survival. In radiation-heavy ecosystems, internal organs might serve as both energy collectors and shields. They could absorb harmful rays, convert them into usable fuel, and then re-radiate the excess safely through special pores or exoskeletal vents. Such organs wouldn't be hidden inside the body. They'd flare open when the radiation is strongest, like solar sails made of flesh and function. Then consider thought and emotion. What if the alien brain is housed within an organ that also manages digestion or sensory control? In some anatomies, memory might be stored in tissue that reacts to external scent or temperature, meaning that a smell or a shift in warmth could trigger a replay of thought. Such creatures wouldn't just remember the past, they might re-experience it physically through organs shaped by time and chemistry. And in some species, internal organs may no longer even be internal. They may pulse just beneath the skin, protected by tough, transparent membranes, visible as moving parts, shifting, glowing, resonating, offering visual cues to nearby members of their kind. A being's state of mind, hunger, or readiness might be read by watching its shifting anatomy. Now we enter the cavern of transformation, the alien digestive system, where the outer world is broken down, filtered, and reshaped into life. Digestion, in any species, is a negotiation between self and environment. On Earth, it's a process of enzymes and acids, a chemical deconstruction of food into usable parts. But across the galaxy, digestion may not resemble anything we know. It may begin outside the body, unfold in reverse, or occur without a stomach at all. Imagine a creature that digests through its skin, absorbing nutrients by secreting powerful external enzymes. On toxic planets, rich in metals or corrosive compounds, this being might slowly soften its prey by wrapping around it, its body forming a living crucible. The nutrients would seep in through channels in its surface, while waste is left to rot beneath. No internal process needed. The outside becomes the stomach. Or perhaps digestion begins in separate chambers strung across the body, modular stomachs that handle different materials, one for organic matter, another for minerals, another for liquid compounds. On resource-poor worlds, efficiency is everything. Aliens here may evolve to digest nearly anything: rock, dust, carbon vapor, protein spores drifting on the wind. Their internal systems would sort and repurpose every trace element, leaving nothing behind. Some alien guts might be symbiotic ecosystems. A creature may carry entire microbial forests inside its belly, bacteria that processed food, fungi that synthesize vitamins, algae that photosynthesize light while the host rests. These inner gardens may change with diet or season, adapting in real time to new environments. In this way, the digestive system becomes not a machine, but a living colony. There may be no single entrance. On some worlds, beings feed through multiple orifices, pores, antennae, or root-like tendrils that burrow into matter and draw it in. Digestion could be a distributed process, with each limb or segment partially responsible. Some creatures may even break down energy-rich gases directly from the air, their organs acting like living batteries that extract and convert without ever consuming solid food. Consider beings that feed on heat or light. Their digestive systems might involve no acids, but instead use layered crystalline tissues that convert radiation into metabolic energy. These inner panels could shift orientation depending on exposure, much like leaves on a tree. Digestion becomes a form of absorption, not a breakdown of flesh, but a drinking in of stars. Waste, too, may take alien forms. It might not be excreted, but recycled entirely, converted into armor, pigment, or even offspring, or it may be ejected as gas, light, or sound. In some cases, digestion could be weaponized, creatures that melt food and enemies alike, spitting corrosive enzymes that linger in the air. Digestion, in alien life is not just survival, it is interpretation, reshaping foreign matter into self. On our world, oxygen is the invisible thread that stitches life into motion. But in the wider universe, that rule may not hold. Imagine a planet cloaked in dense clouds of methane, its surface toxic to us, yet teeming with life that breathes something else entirely. Alien respiration might not draw in air the way we do. Instead, it could rely on gases we call poisonous, like hydrogen sulfide or ammonia, pulling energy from reactions that seem unthinkable in terrestrial biology. On worlds where oxygen is scarce or absent, evolution may have gifted its creatures with alternate biochemical engines, sentience built for survival in suffocating silence. Deep beneath thick ice shells or in the crushing pressure of super-Earths, respiration may take the form of chemosynthesis, where life pulls energy from chemical gradients rather than sunlight. Microbes on Earth already do this near hydrothermal vents, using hydrogen and iron instead of oxygen. Extrapolate that to an entire biosphere. Breathing in such places would be a quiet alchemy of sulfur, chlorine, or exotic elements like selenium. Lungs, if they exist, may be wet with fluids that hold and vary gases in ways we do not yet understand. Or perhaps there are no lungs at all. Some creatures might absorb gases directly through their skin or through vascular fronds, like a forest growing inward instead of out. Their circulatory systems could be built to filter what we would consider filth. Thick, viscous fluids might bind and transport molecules of energy the way hemoglobin binds oxygen here. But instead of red, their blood could shimmer gold, cobalt, or green, colored by metals we rarely associate with life. And what of planets with wild temperature swings or atmospheric storms that alter chemistry overnight? The beings that live there may not commit to a single gas at all. They might switch breath types, drawing methane when it floods the air and switching to nitrogen-based respiration when methane vanishes. Their bodies might read the air like a code, tuning cellular valves to match the chemical music outside. Some could live on hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe. Others might feast on ambient radiation, needing no air at all. Their respiration might be internal, powered by symbiotic bacteria nested in their organs, feeding them energy in a closed-loop system, systems walking in a single body. And in the rarest cases, breath itself may be obsolete. Imagine life that thrives without it, sustained by solid-state bioelectric exchanges or slow chemical drift through crystal tissue. These beings would not pant, sigh, or whisper. They would simply exist, silent, efficient, and utterly alien. In the deepest systems of life, there is a hum, a current, a signal that moves faster than breath. The nervous system is the electric dialogue of the body. It senses, processes, responds. But what if nerves are not cords of flesh, but strands of crystal, or filaments of light, or rivers of magnetic flow pulsing through gelatinous tissue? In alien life, the nervous system may not be a line of command. It might be a living map that shifts and grows with each thought. On Earth, we understand nerves as pathways, sensory in, motor out, controlled by a central brain or cord. But alien biology might be far more distributed. A creature could have hundreds of small neural hubs scattered through its body, each capable of independent decision-making. Its arm might react to danger before the central core even notices. Its eyes might process data and trigger a leap without ever thinking in the way we do. Consciousness in such beings may not live in one place. It may flicker and travel, like heat spreading across a sheet of metal. Now imagine nervous tissue made not of soft organic matter, but of conductive minerals, veins of silver or carbon threading through the body like circuitry. Electrical impulses might surge through these lines with blazing speed, forming a biological motherboard. Movement becomes code. Memory becomes structure. Perhaps the creature's very posture is a kind of thought, a position that determines behavior. In such organisms, biology and intention are fused. What if the nervous system uses light? Beneath transparent skin or armor, glowing pulses could move from organ to organ, signaling danger, hunger, emotion. Optical nerves, literal light paths, would allow communication at astonishing speeds, with hues and rhythms we could barely see. To watch such a being respond would be like watching lightning pass through glass. Others may not use electricity at all. Some could use chemical gradients, with signaling molecules diffusing through layered tissues. Decisions would be slower, yes, but perhaps deeper, shaped by concentrations of emotion, not sparks. Or imagine a nervous system that whispers across electromagnetic fields, each signal unbound by wires or tissue. Thoughts might pass through space like ripples in the magnetic sea, sensed by other creatures long before any movement begins. Their minds might not be isolated. They might always be linked. Some creatures could build their nervous systems as they grow, adding tendrils of logic, braiding new circuits into their bodies. Their intelligence might increase, not just with experience, but with literal physical expansion. Thought and flesh would evolve together, a mind sculpted in anatomy, pain, pleasure, instinct, and choice, all encoded in shifting networks of light, fluid, and fire. This is not simply a brain. It is an evolving infrastructure of reaction, memory, and will. Some creatures think in silence, others, perhaps, in chorus. When we imagine alien life, we often default to a single, centralized brain, an organ encased in bone or armor, commanding the rest. But intelligence might not always be one point of origin. It could be scattered, decentralized, even democratic. In alien biology, multiple brains may coexist within the same body, each with its own role, awareness, and decision-making ability. Picture a creature with a brain in each limb. Its left arm might remember the terrain, while the right calculates movement. One brain focuses on language, another on sensation. Together, they form a collective intelligence, coordinated but not hierarchical. The central body may not even hold the highest authority. Perhaps the limb that touches danger most often becomes the fastest to respond. Reaction and experience would give priority, not anatomy. On Earth, hints of this already exist. Octopuses have more than half their neurons in their arms, allowing their limbs to think independently. Take that concept further, and an alien may be an ecosystem of thought, a symphony of neural centers spread like constellations through flesh, each part aware, each part listening. Such beings might appear calm on the outside, yet inside, decisions are negotiated. If multiple brains disagree, the creature may pause, twitch, or quiver, not with confusion, but with internal debate. A moment of stillness becomes a council of minds. Over time, the system may evolve to settle disputes through rhythm, pulses, tremors, or chemical waves that sweep through the body, aligning purpose like a tide resets the shore. Some might use layered intelligence. A surface brain processes reflexes, movement, temperature, spatial balance. Deeper nodes handle memory, strategy, perhaps emotion. Like geological strata, thought builds in layers, each older layer buried beneath new ones. These brains may operate at different speeds. The surface brain reacts in seconds, while the core brain contemplates in days. Together, They form a harmony between instinct and reflection. And then there are distributed networks, beings with no brain at all in the traditional sense. Instead, intelligence is woven into every cell. Neural fibers might run like threads through tissue, forming a living web where memory and processing are everywhere. Damage to one part is not fatal. The organism reroutes, heals, remembers. Even if sliced apart, the fragments may retain awareness and perhaps continue. Communication between brains might not be electric. It may be magnetic, vibrational, or based on fluid exchange. A shift in pH, a swirl of ions, a ripple of charged protein could serve as a message. The being doesn't just think, it hums with intelligence. In such a creature, identity is a cloud of consciousness, always shifting. There is no I, only we. And from these plural minds, perception itself begins to stretch. Now we open the question of vision, not just as sight, but as a way of knowing. On Earth, vision is shaped by visible light, a narrow slice of the electromagnetic spectrum tuned to our sun. But for alien life, sight could emerge from entirely different bands, or from different forces altogether. Seeing might not require eyes. It may not even require light. Some creatures might see with heat, others with pressure, sound, or fields invisible to us. Their worlds would look nothing like ours, yet just as vivid, just as rich. Imagine a creature that senses vibration as finely as we perceive color. Its skin ripples like a drumhead, covered in microscopic hairs or tension-sensitive plates. Each tremor in the air or ground forms an image in its mind. The footfall of prey, the shifting of leaves, even the breath of a nearby beast. In pitch darkness or under a buried sky, vibration paints the world like strokes on black glass. Not still images, but moving impressions, always alive. Others may see in temperature, their vision shaped by gradients of heat rather than reflected light. They track warm bodies across cold landscapes. They see the lingering fingerprints of the past, the heat trail of a creature that passed minutes ago, or the slow cooling of a recent fight. In such biology, eyes might resemble pits or slits packed with thermosensitive membranes. No pupil, no iris, just the cold logic of infrared, always watching. Then there are those that perceive electromagnetic fields. Their vision is shaped not by photons, but by charge, the pull and push of unseen forces. They see the world as a living map of tension, magnetic poles, ion trails, solar wind swirling in the atmosphere. Their heads may carry horn-like structures that sweep through space like antennas. Their eyes may be organs that pulse when bathed in electricity. They would not see walls or objects. They would see influence, power, radiation in motion. Some alien creatures may combine multiple senses into one. A single organ might detect light, vibration, and sound all at once, layering data into a synesthetic picture of the world. Seeing becomes tasting, becomes feeling, becomes hearing. Experience is no longer divided, it flows. And then there are those who see with chemicals. They release particles into the air and interpret the return, a world drawn from scent, carried on the breeze. Or perhaps they see in delay through sonar-like pulses that bounce back in time, requiring patience, stillness, and memory. They must pause to gather the shape of the present. Their vision is a negotiation between now and just before. To imagine these beings is to accept that our vision is just one version of reality, that the universe is alive with data we will never detect without help. But some creatures don't need help. They were born into these invisible spectrums, and for them, the world is not dark, not silent, not empty. It is simply shaped by different rhythms and different minds. Now we follow sound as it travels through alien skin, alien bones, alien minds. Hearing is not just the passive reception of noise. It is geometry, memory, and survival wrapped in rhythm. For some life forms beyond Earth, sound may be the first sense, not vision, not touch. And in the thick oceans of alien atmospheres, or the dense gases of unfamiliar worlds, sound might carry farther, echo sharper, and reveal more than light ever could. Imagine a being that echolocates, not just with simple clicks like a bat, but with orchestras of frequency, trills, pulses, overlapping tones projected through horn spirals in its chest. These aren't just to detect shape or movement. They decode texture, density, even emotion. One frequency scans, another maps, a third interprets, bounce and delay. The creature builds a world from echoes alone, a moving sculpture in its mind where silence is an absence of shape. Their ears may not be on the sides of the head. Perhaps they line the ribs, or stretch along long membrane-lined arms that sweep sound like a net. These ears might shimmer, responding to the vibrations of the air, or twitch toward seismic shifts underfoot. Or perhaps they are internal chambers, coiled like spirals within the chest, resonating with planetary tremors, listening to the ground as much as the sky. Some aliens might speak and hear in frequencies far beyond our range. Their voices could be ultrasonic storms or deep infrasonic rumbles that ripple through matter itself. A conversation between two of them might sound like nothing to us. A breeze, a vibration, a stillness. Yet to them, it is a dialogue of secrets, spoken without words. Others might detect sound through visual cues. The movement of particles in the air, the shifting of hairs, the trembling of surfaces. In place of eardrums, they might grow listening stones in their bodies, mineralized plates that ring like bells inside living cavities. These are not just sensors, but memories. They remember vibrations. They catalog resonance. On worlds with thick, stormy atmospheres, sound could behave like a solid. It would wrap around structures, reflect unpredictably, carry emotion in weight. An alien species adapted to this might evolve entire languages built from echoes, where meaning depends on distance, shape, and delay. Their homes would be sculpted to enhance speech, corridors of whispering walls that sing. And in rare cases, some might hear not with organs but with fields. Their nervous systems detect the oscillations of particles in surrounding air or fluid, turning each shift into a sense of presence. They hear the heartbeat of storms, the tremor of distant creatures, the settling of a dying sun. These beings do not simply listen. They feel sound as form. They navigate by pulse, by beat, by the deep rhythm of their environment. And sometimes, just sometimes, they hear more than environment. They hear each other's thoughts, not with words, but with frequencies tuned to intimacy. Now we dissolve into the invisible, where language travels not by sound or sight, but by molecules drifting on the air. In many alien worlds, communication may begin and end in chemistry. Forget mouths, forget vocal cords. Picture instead a body that breathes messages, that exudes thoughts in vapors, sprays, or mist, where one breath can carry a warning, a memory, or a command. This is not a language of words. It is a language of presence, of molecular code. Alien life, especially in dense atmospheres or subterranean biomes, may rely on pheromonal communication as its primary medium. One creature emits a strand of scent that trails behind like a thread. Another follows, decoding information layered in each molecule, markers of health, status, urgency, even intent. The message is not spoken, it is absorbed. It settles on skin, enters through pores, lingers in cells. Some messages fade in seconds, others in hours, and some are made to last for generations, stories written in chemical signatures. Imagine creatures with glands arranged in precise arrays, capable of mixing and releasing complex compounds like an alchemist of emotion. One spray signals curiosity. A different ratio signals grief. Another induces trust. The air around them becomes a shifting veil of meaning. And where one being stands, it creates a temporary zone of language, a pocket of reality perfumed by mind. Their companions may read this language with hairs that taste the air, or with pores that flicker open like flowers to sample each chemical pulse. These receptors are fine-tuned, capable of detecting differences smaller than a part per billion. With each breath, they learn not just the what, but the who, the how, and the why. The language is built from ratios, decay rates, interactions. A message is a living pattern, not just a static phrase. Now consider how such communication could evolve in a species with no visual culture. Memory would be stored in scent libraries. History would pass through bodily markings. An ancient being might carry the chemical blueprint of an ancestor's last thoughts, preserved in a gland or etched into the oils on its skin. Knowledge becomes transferable in droplets, inheritance in aroma. Conflicts could be fought in chemical silence, one group releasing suppressants that dull the senses of another. Romance might unfold as a spiral of invisible exchanges, building layer by layer until harmony is achieved. Lies would be difficult, truth would be chemical, and deception would require control over an entire internal orchestra of glands. And if environments shift, say if wind speed increases or temperature changes, then language itself warps. Some beings might evolve to anchor their messages in heavier molecules, droplets that fall slowly rather than disperse. Others might use bursts of heat or electric fields to direct their messages precisely like a chemical whisper into the dark. Now we enter a realm where biology speaks in beams, pulses, and shimmering waves. In the quiet corners of the galaxy, far from solar brilliance, some creatures might develop the ability to generate their own light, not as a beacon, but as a language. These are not fireflies or deep-sea flickers. These are beings whose very skin can ripple with color, whose patterns shift with every mood, command, or memory. For them, light is not decoration, it is syntax, grammar, emotion in spectrum. A creature might walk cloaked in complete darkness, only to reveal bands of soft glow when another of its kind approaches. Across its body, patches illuminate in sequence, a wave of welcome, a stripe of caution, a spiral of desire. The message is dynamic, flowing, shaped by both biology and intent. Every wavelength carries meaning. Red may not mean danger. Blue may not mean calm. The code is alien and yet deeply alive. These signals are produced by specialized cells embedded throughout the skin. Biooptic structures that channel energy into visible output. Some may use chemicals like luciferin and luciferase, while others convert electrical pulses into direct emission. These light systems are not passive organs. They are muscular, responsive, and sometimes even conscious. They do not just glow, they react. When spoken to, they shift. When threatened, they flash. When mourning, they dim. In open fields of gas or fluid, a conversation might take place entirely in pulses. Beings gather in a silent ring, their bodies pulsing with synchronized colors, each tone a sentence, each rhythm a question. An outsider would see only flickers, beautiful, strange, without sound. But within the spectrum, dialogue unfolds like poetry written in waves. This visual language could evolve in places where sound is unreliable, perhaps where storms rage or atmospheres crackle with interference. In such worlds, light becomes the most stable medium. Beings adapt by using reflection, refraction, even projection. Their skins may include microscopic mirrors, bending light into complex shapes, or prisms that split one color into many. They can shine a story into the mist and read the reply in scattered beams. Some may learn to emit light that only certain species can perceive. Entire relationships form in ultraviolet or infrared, hidden from all others. Courtship, negotiation, warnings, all conducted in ghostly shimmer. To most eyes, they are still, but beneath the right filter, they blaze with conversation. And beyond communication, these light signals serve as defense and distraction. A flash might blind a predator, a pulse might trigger a flock to scatter. In more advanced systems, light may even interfere with the sensory organs of other species, a dazzling form of biological hacking. What emerges is a life form whose thoughts are seen rather than heard, whose truth flickers on skin, and whose silence is never empty. Now we move into silence and stillness, where a body disappears not by hiding, but by becoming what surrounds it. On distant worlds with dense fogs, fractured light, or layered environments, the ability to vanish may be a biological necessity. Invisibility is not magic here. It's an art of biology, a weapon of survival, a system of layered deception embedded in the skin, flesh, and reflexes of alien life. For some species, invisibility starts with color matching, not as paint, but as an active, dynamic response. Pigment cells reorganize in real time, mimicking the hues and textures around them. But color is only the beginning. The most evolved forms of camouflage alter not just appearance, but shape, light reflection, heat emission, even scent. To disappear is to become indistinct, to blur the signature of life itself. Alien organisms may possess chromatophores that do more than shift pigment. These cells could stretch, contract, polarize light, or even bend it. Some layers of skin might be filled with nanocrystalline arrays, changing refractive index at will, bending light around the body like liquid glass. From a distance, the creature is gone. Not behind something, not under something, simply not seen. Camouflage also operates in 3 dimensions. Skin could sprout microspines or folds, reshaping surface contours to mimic bark, rock, or sand. A creature in the forest doesn't just take on the green of leaves. It grows leaf-like flaps, mossy textures, perhaps even mimicked veins. In the desert, it becomes dust. On ice, a ripple in snow. The boundaries of body and world dissolve. Some species go even deeper, manipulating thermal signatures. Their skin cools selectively or emits decoy heat, tricking infrared sensors. To heat-seeking predators, they appear like ambient stone. Others control sound. Their body dampens echoes, spreads footfall across flexible membranes, or diffuses air turbulence to remain inaudible. Even their breathing can flatten into quiet. In liquid environments, camouflage grows more complex. Transparency becomes a tool. Internal organs align to minimize shadows. Gels fill empty spaces to match water density. Some deep-ocean alien analogues may reflect no light at all. Their bodies coated in structures that trap photons, turning them into voids. Pure biological black. On worlds with multiple suns or flickering light sources, camouflage is not static. It must shift with each passing beam. Whole bodies undulate with pattern and shadow like living holograms. And these shifts are not slow. Reaction time could be milliseconds, faster than a predator's blink, faster than a hunter's aim. In some species, invisibility isn't just defense, it's offense. They wait not behind, but within, embedded in their environment, becoming still until the moment strikes. A ripple in the moss, a flicker in the dust. The predator is already inside your field of view. Now we descend into the mind, but not as we know it. In alien biology, thought may not be confined to a single brain, nor even to a central organ. It may spread like a network across the entire body, embedded in tissues, bones, or fluids. In these beings, intelligence is not localized, it flows. Thought is not trapped behind eyes, it pulses through skin, echoes in limbs, and resonates in shared chemicals. What we call the brain may be something far stranger out there. Some creatures may have distributed neural systems, where clusters of neurons are spread across multiple organs. Each cluster contributes a piece of awareness, decision-making shared across zones. A limb may think independently, reacting before any signal travels to a central command. Responses are fast, adaptive, and sometimes unconscious. Movement and mind blend in ways we've never seen, instinct and calculation blurring into one seamless reaction. Neurochemistry, too, may be wildly unfamiliar. Instead of neurotransmitters like dopamine or serotonin, alien life could rely on metallic ions, liquid crystals, or oscillating chemical fields to carry signals. Thoughts might travel through fluid channels that light up with bioluminescence, illuminating the path of a decision as it races through the body. Others might use quantum tunneling within specialized proteins, allowing thoughts to leap distances in ways that break our understanding of speed. Instead of electrical impulses along nerves, some species may process thought through vibration, pressure waves, or temperature shifts. Intelligence encoded in pulses of heat or shifting molecular bonds. The signal may not be binary, it may be analog, multidimensional, or even fluid state logic, a form of cognition that feels more like music than code. Some aliens may possess dual or triune consciousness, not multiple personalities, but layered awareness. One layer manages physical action, another handles emotion, while a third watches silently, storing long-term memory or observing for patterns. In conflict, the layers negotiate. In peace, They align and act as one. These beings are not individuals in the way we define it. They are symphonies of mind, systems in balance or beautiful tension. Memory may not be stored in brains at all. It could be etched into cellular patterns, folded into proteins, or magnetically encoded in internal crystals. A creature might remember pain through the texture of its bones, or a lesson through the color of its skin. Memory becomes tactile, chemical, visible, and communication between minds. It may be far more direct. Nerve fibers that extend and connect. Chemical clouds that synchronize thoughts. Glances that trigger shared states. Entire collectives of beings thinking in concert, without sound, without separation. This is not thought as we know it. It is biology shaped by other stars, other laws, and other needs. Now we shift into the mysterious process of creation, how alien life might reproduce, rebuild, and renew itself. On Earth, reproduction is often binary, one form meeting another to make a third. But across the universe, life may not follow such symmetry. Alien biology might favor division over union, synthesis over fertilization, or replication without intimacy. In distant ecosystems, the methods of birth could appear more like alchemy than biology. Some species may divide, not unlike single-celled organisms on Earth. A mature entity reaches a threshold of mass or energy and simply splits into two, each half carrying memory, instinct, and structure. But in more complex beings, this might be an elegant, orchestrated process. Internal organs duplicate in layers, outer membranes fold like origami, and over hours or days, a perfect twin emerges, shaped by experience rather than genes alone. Others may reproduce by budding. A limb or organ thickens, forms a node, and detaches. That node crawls, floats, or anchors into new terrain, growing into a new being. Reproduction here is not centralized, it's ambient. Any part of the body, given the right conditions, can generate new life. Identity is fluid, inheritance more environmental than genetic. Then there are species that synthesize offspring using resources from their surroundings. They absorb metals, gases, or minerals, combining them with their own organic tissue to form hybrids. Reproduction becomes construction. A parent builds its child like a living sculpture, encoded with purpose, memory, and instinct, not through chromosomes, but through biological programming layered into every fiber. Reproductive cycles may also be dictated by external rhythms: the orbit of a moon, the pulse of a magnetic field, the decay of radiation. A species might reproduce only once every 1,000 rotations, triggered by a rare alignment or an atmospheric shift. Birth becomes ceremony. Survival hinges on cosmic timing. Some beings reproduce collectively. Instead of individuals creating offspring, a group might gather, synchronize chemistry, and form a shared larva or seed, a living embryo born of many minds and bodies. This child may not belong to one parent, but to all, a product of collective memory and shared will. And reproduction may not always involve new forms. Some species might extend their lifespan by consuming a portion of themselves, regenerating youth through internal recycling. Others may pass their consciousness, or a version of it, into a fresh host, a generational relay where the vessel changes, but the self endures. Alien reproduction could be mechanical, rhythmic, chaotic, or serene. It might require intense energy release or total stillness. It may occur in silence, in light, in song, or in secret. What is constant is the drive to persist, to multiply form, to continue the thread of existence, even when the thread itself looks nothing like our own. Now we shift from the act of creation to the mystery of development. How do alien beings care for what they produce? Do they nurture, abandon, program, or merge with their offspring? In a universe built on extremes, the answer may not lie in tenderness, but in evolution. Some species may never know their young. Others might raise them within their bodies or teach them through chemical transmission. Parenting, in alien biology, is not limited by instinct. It may be a process of design. In some ecosystems, the parent may implant memory into the embryo before it leaves the body. Learning happens before birth. Neural scaffolding is laid down by chemical patterns, encoded signals, or magnetic pulses. The young are not taught by example. They are born knowing. They emerge from shells, sacs, or soil, already speaking, hunting, or building, instinct fused with preloaded cognition. Other beings may raise their young externally, but not through social bonding. Instead, they create environments where learning is forced by survival. They release their offspring into bioreactive zones, spaces where the young must activate their senses, solve challenges, or adapt rapidly to chaos. Each trial triggers development. Growth becomes a series of biochemical upgrades. To survive is to evolve in real time. Some aliens may rear their young communally. There is no concept of my child or your child. All young belong to the species. They are passed between adults, grown in central chambers, or linked to a shared nervous system. Emotions like attachment, jealousy, or pride may not exist. Instead, what matters is function, ensuring the young become useful members of the whole. Then there are those that do not raise their young at all. Once born or constructed, the new beings are on their own, but they are not unprepared. They may be designed to self-teach, connecting to the environment like a node in a larger system. They absorb experience as code, modify their own biology in response, and adapt without instruction. Growth here is not linear, it's recursive. For more advanced civilizations, parenting could involve direct interface. The parent links minds with the offspring, transferring emotions, history, and perception in waves. A child does not learn to speak. It feels speech. It doesn't learn to walk. It senses motion. This intimacy is not emotional. It is neurological. A full download of being. In some cases, the young may not even be separate. They grow as limbs, extensions, or internal colonies inside the adult body, emerging only when conditions demand. The line between self and offspring becomes abstract. Biology stretches identity like elastic. One becomes two only when necessary. From these bizarre forms of care and programming, we move next into another kind of evolution. Not in childhood, but across generations, when species do not stand alone, but grow side by side with others in relationships that blur the boundaries of life. Now we descend into the entwined realm where life does not grow alone, but is shaped in constant companionship. In alien biology, evolution may not favor the isolated survivor, but the collaborator. Whole species may come into existence not as singular organisms, but as linked systems, co-evolving through deep biological intimacy. They live together, feed together, breathe each other's breath. To separate them would be to kill them both. Symbiosis on Earth is a familiar dance. Gut bacteria helping digestion, fungi nourishing roots, insects pollinating plants. But in alien systems, this relationship may run deeper, so interwoven that it is hard to tell where one species ends and the other begins. Skin may be shared, organs may be connected. One being may think while the other moves, each fulfilling half a body's promise. Some creatures may grow around each other, forming physical knots of muscle and nerve. One serves as the central nervous system, the other as a mobile chassis. Together, they form a hybrid being. Neither could become alone. If one dies, the other deteriorates. Evolution favors this union, not out of romance or need, but because it works. A merger of biology, perfected over eons. Others may share information chemically. One species constantly secretes compounds that regulate the behavior, growth, or mood of the other. They become each other's ecosystem, emitting and absorbing not just nutrients, but hormones, signals, even identity. In a dense alien jungle, you may find one creature twitching with the thoughts of another. Its chemistry scripted by a partner it cannot see. Some symbiotic relationships might be hierarchical. One life form acts as the platform, massive, slow, perhaps even stationary, while dozens of smaller, more agile companions live on its surface. In exchange for shelter or movement, they act as immune system, defense, or mobile sensory units. They warn of danger, clean parasites, relay signals. Together, they form a moving city, a creature that is also a habitat. There may also be shared reproductive systems, species that cannot reproduce without biochemical input from a partner. A fluid, a pulse, a chemical trigger exchanged in brief, seasonal unions. These are not romantic, they are required. Without the other, the next generation does not begin. Codependence becomes evolutionary law. And then there is the darkest form of symbiosis, the parasitic alliances, where one species benefits and the other is drained slowly, tolerated only because the damage is less than the risk of losing the partner. A balance of tension and need. On other worlds, evolution may look less like a tree and more like a braid, species winding around each other through time, dependent not just on food or space, but on shared purpose and merged identity. From these co-evolved forms, we step next into another biological mystery, the immune systems of aliens, where protection might mean more than fighting infection. Now we go inward, into the silent guardians that protect life from within. On Earth, immune systems are complex armies of cells and proteins, always watching, always ready. But in alien biology, immunity could evolve in astonishing ways. It may not be a war, but a negotiation. Not just defense, but identity maintenance in a body that is fluid, changing, or partially foreign by design. Some alien life forms may not have static structures. Their organs could shift, their cells reform, their biochemistry evolve with environment. In such beings, an immune system cannot simply attack what is different. It must decide constantly what belongs and what does not. It may be part sensor, part judge, reading signals, measuring context, and adapting its response. Mistakes mean more than sickness. They mean self-destruction. Instead of white blood cells or antibodies, defense could come in the form of shape-shifting cells, liquid immune tissue, or chemical fields. Some beings may flood an infected area with nanoscopic tendrils that isolate the threat like a prison. Others might change the pH or electromagnetic charge of tissue to make survival impossible for invaders. Defense isn't about attack. It's about rewiring space. In more extreme environments, aliens may deal with constant radiation or corrosive gases. Their immune systems could operate like auto-engineers, detecting damage instantly and deploying molecular tools to repair it. Special proteins might reseal membranes, rebuild lost cells, or even regrow entire limbs. Self-repair isn't miraculous. It's programmed, routine, a survival feature as basic as breathing. Some alien species might absorb the threat instead of rejecting it. A hostile microbe is engulfed, studied, and broken down, its components recycled into something useful. Parasites become nutrients. Viruses become templates. The immune system doesn't resist, it transforms. Evolution here is fast, directed, and deliberate. Social species might even share immunity. Through chemical contact, fluid exchange, or neural links, individuals could transmit immune responses across a community. One body learns, all bodies benefit. A collective immune system, a living biological network trained by shared survival. Then there are species that do not have a fixed body at all. Their form is a colony of cells or a flowing membrane. For them, immunity becomes the management of borders, the filtering of what may join and what must be rejected. Health is a matter of cohesion. Alien immunity may also involve emotional or sensory responses. Fear could trigger defense mechanisms. Smell or vibration might indicate infection. The line between perception and immunity blurs. The body listens, feels, responds. And when the damage is too great, the body may choose renewal over repair. Systems shut down. Old cells collapse. A new structure begins to grow in their place. In this, we find the next thread, regeneration. Not just healing, but rebirth. Now we turn toward the miracle of rebuilding regeneration, not as a rare talent, but as a biological standard. On Earth, only a handful of species can regrow lost limbs or damaged tissues, and even then, the process is slow, incomplete. But alien life may treat regeneration as routine. In distant biologies, healing is not a recovery. It is a programmed return to wholeness. Or perhaps something even more advanced, a transformation triggered by loss. In some alien beings, regeneration could begin the instant damage occurs. Specialized cells might flood the site, not only replacing tissue but reshaping it. Bones reassemble, nerves reconnect with precision. Muscle fibers stitch themselves like woven threads. And unlike earthly organisms, these regenerative patterns may be encoded in every cell, a decentralized blueprint of the entire body, allowing full reconstruction from even the smallest fragment. This type of biology requires an exquisite form of memory. Cells remember their position, their function, their connections, and when summoned, they don't merely rebuild, they rebuild better. Regeneration becomes an opportunity for upgrade. A limb lost in battle returns stronger. A damaged organ grows back with altered resistance. Evolution occurs not across generations, but within a single lifetime. Some species might possess redundant organs spread throughout the body, ready to activate when primary systems fail. A second heart, a backup eye, neural tissue distributed through the limbs. Death becomes unlikely because failure is never total. The body is a network, not a hierarchy. If one node falls, another rises. Other beings could shift their entire biology during regeneration. Cut a tentacle and it becomes a limb. Break a bone and it reforms as armor. Their cells interpret damage not as something to undo, but as a signal to adapt. Morphology becomes fluid. The boundary between injury and evolution dissolves. There may also be creatures whose regeneration includes shared cellular memory. A parent's wound is remembered in the child. Healing is not isolated, it is ancestral, a form of biological storytelling carried in protein and pattern. Even more strange are the species that trigger regeneration in others. Their body emits compounds that awaken dormant healing systems in nearby life. They do not just heal themselves, they influence the biology around them. They are living catalysts, walking medicine. But not all regeneration is perfect. Some systems may go too far, tissues that never stop growing, limbs that regenerate into different forms each time. The result is instability, variation, mutation. For these species, identity is always shifting. And so, regeneration in alien biology is not merely about recovery. It is about choice, memory, transformation. From this rebirth, we now drift toward rest, the enigmatic cycles of alien sleep, where consciousness resets, systems recharge, and something unknown stirs in the dark. Now we descend into the stillness, that quiet realm where activity fades and biology turns inward. On Earth, sleep is a necessity, a surrender to fatigue, where minds dream and bodies mend. But alien sleep may be something more than rest. It could be an elaborate biological sequence, a transformation of function, or even a way to interface with memory, time, or consciousness itself. For some alien species, sleep might occur in cycles longer than lifetimes. Vast hibernation periods could stretch across seasons, eclipses, or orbital shifts. A being may grow, act, and then vanish into dormancy for centuries, wrapped in hardened shells, surrounded by nutrient gels, or hidden beneath planetary crusts. Their bodies quiet, but their inner systems whisper, slow repairs, molecular updates, even genetic rewrites carried out in the dark. Others may not sleep in full. Instead, they shut down portions of their biology in rotation. One side of the brain rests while the other navigates. One set of lungs stills while a secondary system breathes. This distributed rest allows constant vigilance, sleep without vulnerability. A predator and a dreamer in the same body, alternating silently. In more complex life forms, sleep may involve deep neural sequences that restructure identity. Information gathered through the day, through senses far beyond our own, is sorted, not into dreams, but into layered biochemical matrices. Thoughts are decoded, condensed, and stored in physical structures. When the being wakes, it is not the same. Knowledge has altered its cells. Memory has weight. Some aliens may use sleep as a form of metamorphosis. A state entered not daily, but strategically, when environment shifts, when energy is low, when evolution is needed. The body softens, disassembles, reprograms. Days later, a new shape emerges. What slept is not what wakes. Rest becomes rebirth. There may also be beings that sleep communally, linked through pheromones, vibrations, or bioelectrical fields. They enter synchronized shutdown. Whole forests of creatures pulse with silence, exchanging chemicals in their stillness, healing as a group. Their dreams may blend, not fantasy, but shared memory. A biological consensus formed in sleep. And not all sleep is benign. In hostile worlds, sleep might come with camouflage, biochemical cloaks that hide the sleeper's scent, light, or temperature. While systems reboot, the body disappears from predators. Vulnerability met with innovation. Some creatures might even fake sleep, baiting intruders with stillness, only to strike awake in a flash of muscle and heat. Alien sleep, in all its forms, is more than a pause. It is an active state of regeneration, transformation, synchronization, or concealment. A breathing silence where biology does its deepest work. And as we drift from this nocturnal landscape, we begin to explore something stranger still, how alien life may not feed as we do, but draw energy from the stars themselves. Now we ascend toward the light, not merely to see, but to feed. On Earth, photosynthesis is the secret behind forests, fields, and food chains, allowing plants to capture sunlight and convert it into life. But in the biology of alien worlds, this process may take on wild and radiant forms. Energy could be drawn not just from gentle daylight, but from radiation storms, auroras, even the pulsing core of a distant star. Imagine a creature whose skin is not for protection, but absorption. Layered with pigment crystals or energy-reactive mesh, it stretches its body wide to drink solar particles, converting light not just into sugar, but into muscle activation, neural spark, even reproductive cycles. These beings may grow rapidly in orbit daylight, then enter hibernation during planetary shadows. Their lives are synced to starlight, blooming, pulsing, pausing, pausing. On dim planets or moons buried beneath ice, life might evolve to feed on radiation leaking from deep space or from the planet's core. Their biology could include molecular converters, tiny protein turbines that spin when struck by gamma rays or magnetized particles. Instead of burning food, their bodies burn radiation. Shielding is not needed. They are the shield. In some places, creatures may grow translucent, built like organic solar panels. Their organs drift just beneath the surface, glowing faintly when charged. Others may sprout antennae-like limbs that wave toward the sky, seeking solar angles, absorbing spectra invisible to the human eye. What we call deadly ultraviolet, they call nourishment. More exotic still are the beings that feed directly from stellar bursts. Living in high orbit or clinging to asteroids, they unfurl wings or sails when a sun flares. Plasma streams hit, and their bodies react, storing heat, generating electrical pulses, powering internal systems. Energy is not digested. It is harvested in raw form. Some alien plants may not be passive at all. They could move slowly toward energy sources, migrating across terrain, shifting their color or texture to optimize absorption. Their leaves may open and close like mouths. Their roots pulse with light. Entire ecosystems might shift rhythmically, breathing in starlight. Even carnivorous species might rely on photosynthetic symbionts. Creatures that hunt in shadow, but carry living light factories within or upon them. Green skins, glowing glands, or internal bioreactors. When prey is scarce, they turn inward and feed from the sun inside. Energy intake may not even be limited to light. Some species could extract power from sound, vibration, or electromagnetic fields, their bones tuned like instruments, their organs vibrating with energy transfer. From this light-driven world, we step into a stranger cycle, the dark side of function. How alien biology handles the inevitable, decay, waste, and what remains when systems break down. What happens, biologically, to what is no longer needed. Now we step into the aftermath, where every breath exhaled, every motion completed, leaves something behind. Waste is not just the forgotten byproduct of biology, but a crucial function, a system of disposal, filtration, and sometimes creation. On alien worlds, where resources may be scarce or harshly regulated by environment, the biology of waste may not resemble our own. In fact, the very concept of waste could be obsolete, replaced by something far more efficient, elegant, or even strange. Some alien species may possess zero-waste physiology, where every molecule is accounted for and repurposed. Excess gases are absorbed into internal chambers and converted into secondary fuel. Dead skin becomes raw material for shell repair. Fecal matter might not exist. Instead, it's vaporized into energy or stored as slow-release nutrients. The body, in this case, is a perfect loop, consuming, using, remaking. In water-poor environments, waste removal may involve crystallization. Creatures could eject compacted mineral-like waste, hardened and dry, reducing water loss to near zero. These mineral shards might later be reabsorbed when resources are low, functioning like survival caches hidden within the body's own structure, bones that break down and return when needed. Internal recycling at a cellular level. Some beings may excrete waste as part of communication, pheromones, color-changing oils, or gas clouds rich in specific compounds. These are not just byproducts, they are language, defense, mating signals. What we would flush away, alien species might release into the air like coded poetry. The body expresses its inner state through what it describes. In more advanced systems, internal symbionts may manage waste, colonies of microbe-like entities within the gut or skin layers that consume and transform unusable materials. These inner ecosystems act as living purification plants, breaking down toxins, reconstituting nutrients, or storing chemicals for later. Some symbionts may even leave the body when no longer needed, drifting away like spores, only to be inhaled or reabsorbed during a future need. Waste becomes external storage. There may also be species where waste is dangerous, acidic, radioactive, reactive. Specialized ducts or glands would handle ejection carefully, sometimes even weaponizing the material. A creature might spit its waste in a stream of burning foam or vapor, using disposal as deterrent. In such beings, digestion and defense are inseparable. Entire ecosystems may evolve around alien waste. Scavenger species might follow others, feeding solely on what's left behind, not carrion, but chemical trails, nutrient-rich droppings, or shed body parts. These life forms function like natural janitors, keeping balance. What one body no longer needs becomes the foundation for another. Now we lean into a deeper mystery, where memory is no longer bound to neurons alone. In alien biology, thought might not dwell solely in the brain, but may echo through the tissues, organs, and even the cells. This is tissue memory, the ability of the body itself to remember trauma, rhythm, instinct, or even language, encoded not as data, but as structure, response, and repetition. It is memory you cannot forget because it is embedded in what you are. On Earth, we see glimmers of this. Muscles remember movement, skin reacts to old injuries, the gut senses stress, but in alien life, such bodily memory could become dominant. A creature's limb might recoil at a threat it has never encountered but once carried in a predecessor's cells. Tissue carries not just instructions but history, passed on like scars in the blueprint. Some alien beings might possess regenerative systems that retain memory of injury, not just healing the wound, but altering future growth to avoid similar harm. A damaged arm grows back armored. A burned surface reconfigures to repel heat. Every wound becomes an adaptation, every cut a lesson carved into biology. In more sophisticated forms, entire systems may retain operational patterns. A heart that speeds up in the presence of old enemies. A gland that secretes defensive chemicals when exposed to a frequency tied to past danger. These reactions do not require thought. The body simply knows. This memory could be inherited, not just experienced. A generation born with the fears and wisdom of its ancestors, encoded in skin sensitivity, in bone density, in the way muscles flex before a fall. It is not instinct. It is remembrance without awareness. Entire cultures of creatures may exist where behavior is shaped not by teaching, but by the biological imprint of what came before. Some species might externalize tissue memory. Small pieces of their body could be stored in communal structures, caves, trees, hives, to retain environmental data, emotional states, or warning signals. Others might consume fragments of kin to absorb experience directly, not symbolically but chemically. Wisdom passed through digestion. More abstract still are beings whose organs change shape in response to emotional or environmental imprint. Their biology reshapes itself based on repeated exposure, new folds, new fluids, new functions. The liver grows larger in grief. The lungs hum differently after trauma. Their memories sing through their forms. Tissue memory blurs the line between identity and experience. It questions what it means to learn, to evolve, to carry the past. These creatures live not only in the present moment, but in the echoes of their own bodies. And from here we move further into the unknown, toward the collective. Toward networks not of tissue alone, but of mind shared across many forms. The hive and the chorus await. Now we dissolve the idea of the self. In this alien biology, thought does not reside in a single brain, nor is identity confined to one body. We step into the realm of hive minds, where consciousness weaves across many beings, where intelligence is shared like breath, and individuality is merely a flicker inside something far more vast. In this world, neurons do not end at a skull, and decisions are made not by one, but by many, seamlessly and without speech. Some alien species may be composed of thousands of units, each one biologically independent yet neurologically connected. They could roam as swarms, clouds, or colonies, but think as one. Electrical impulses arc from one body to another through antennae, pulses, or biochemical fields, creating a single, flowing awareness. Not a council of minds, but a single mind in many forms. Their sensory systems could be distributed, each member of the collective gathering data and transmitting it instantly to the others. One sees ultraviolet light, another hears infrasound, a third feels magnetic fields. Together, the hive sees a spectrum no individual ever could. There is no need for language when thought itself is shared. No argument, only action. These collectives may have no central leader, or perhaps they shift roles, one body serving as the emotional core, another as memory, a third as decision maker, until new needs cause the functions to rotate. In this way, leadership becomes fluid, not assigned but emerging. Power moves with purpose, not possession. Even stranger are hives that do not share space, distributed across regions, planets, or orbiting vessels. Their members connect through quantum signals, biological radio, or psychic harmonics. Though separated by light years, they feel together, act together. Their unity is not spatial, but neural. They are one being spread across stars. Some alien hive minds might blend biology with architecture. Their homes are not structures, but part of the organism. Walls that store memory, floors that pulse with decision patterns, roots that feed information. A traveler steps into their world and steps into their mind. The very air may whisper thoughts. There may also be hybrid systems, where some creatures are born into the hive, while others choose to join it. Upon merging, their individuality dissolves gradually. Their memories siphoned into the collective, until what remains is only contribution. The cost is identity. The gain is immortality of purpose. But even within hives, questions may stir. What happens when one part resists? When a single member misfires or detaches? Is exile the same as death, or a chance for a new mind to emerge? In such biology, freedom and unity tangle like roots underground. From this vast chorus of minds, we now descend again into the intimate, the chemistry of emotion, the internal storms that stir beneath alien skin. Now we descend beneath the surface, not into muscle or bone, but into pulses and tides that move within. On Earth, emotions rise from chemical whispers, a rush of adrenaline, a bloom of serotonin, a flush of oxytocin. But in alien bodies, where anatomy follows different blueprints, feelings may flow through fluids we cannot name, sparked by triggers we do not understand. Their emotions could be stranger than we imagine, yet just as powerful, just as shaping, just as real. Alien hormonal systems might not be centralized like ours. Instead of glands tucked deep inside, they may have sensory membranes that flush or flare when moods change, a skin that glows during affection, fins that stiffen in fear. The body does not hide emotion, it displays it like a living mood ring written in color, heat, or scent. Some species may use external hormones entirely, their emotional states released into the air or water around them, forming a shared cloud of feeling. A group could walk through grief together, literally breathing each other's sorrow. Love might be inhaled. Anger could stain the air. These emotions do not stay locked inside. They spill outward, shaping behavior collectively. In colder climates or toxic worlds, emotion may be stored, sealed in sacs or glands, released only when needed. A creature might go days appearing still until a sudden release causes rage, ecstasy, or panic to flood its system. Emotion becomes a tactical weapon. Calm is not peace, it is pause. For some, the chemical language of emotion may be intricate. Dozens, even hundreds of compounds may govern emotional nuance. A cocktail for loyalty, a sequence for mourning. These beings may not cry or laugh, but they molt, they vibrate, they exude patterns of scent that encode entire feelings. A goodbye may linger in the soil for weeks, a chemical memory of departure. Other alien species might not feel emotions as we define them. Instead of joy, they may feel harmonic alignment, a physiological resonance with environment, light, or temperature. Instead of fear, they feel signal disruption, a warning encoded in the failure of inner systems to hum correctly. Their emotions are tuned like instruments, not born like storms. Evolution may also give rise to creatures who adapt their emotional output for deception. They exude comfort while preparing to kill. They release pheromones of trust while feeding false signals. In such beings, emotion is camouflage, not truth, a hormonal chess game. And there may be species that don't experience emotions chronologically at all. They feel backwards, mourning a loss before it occurs, or celebrating before understanding why. Their systems are tied to probability, not events. Emotion ripples across what might be. In all its forms, alien emotion is biology, not poetry, not metaphor. It is secreted, absorbed, triggered. It moves through the body like weather, shaping what these creatures do, what they become. Now we drift into the realm of danger, not the external predator or the looming threat, but the defense that lives within. On Earth, defense might mean claws, teeth, or armor, but in alien biology, protection may take forms far more creative and terrifying. These beings do not carry weapons, they are weapons. Their cells, their skin, their breath, their very presence is wired to survive, repel, and retaliate, not through brute force, but through biochemical precision and sensory manipulation. Some alien species may produce toxins not only in the gut or gland, but in every organ. A bite, a touch, a drop of blood could paralyze or distort perception. Their toxins might not aim to kill, but to confuse, altering time sense, reversing vision, triggering false memories. In their world, winning does not mean overpowering. It means outsmarting through molecular illusion. There may be creatures that project electrical shocks through their skin, but unlike Earth's eels, their currents are directional and modulated. A high-frequency pulse for stunning prey, a lower hum to ward off enemies. Their skin is a living transmitter, tuned to the voltage of defense. Even a brush against their flank could jolt systems out of sync. Sound itself could be a weapon. Some beings may generate sonic bursts not audible to humans, low body-shaking rumbles that disrupt heart rhythms, or high needle-thin frequencies that burst internal membranes. They do not roar, they harmonize at the pitch of collapse. Their voices are shaped for battle. Others use light, flashes of bioluminescence that stun, blind, or hypnotize. Their skin pulses and patterns like strobe codes, activating neural chaos in whatever watches. These creatures need no speed. They dazzle, then devour. Defensive coloration might be dynamic. One moment, the alien looks like stone. The next, a glare of hostile color floods its surface, warning of its toxicity or its strength. Their skin reads the environment and answers a fluid mirror of aggression and protection. Some might control their own scent trails, leaving behind chemical mines. A predator steps into the path and inhales paralysis. Others secrete reactive oils that ignite in air or form protective bubbles in water, blurring their outline, confusing sonar, or triggering explosions upon impact. And among the most evolved may be those who disguise their own biology as harmless. Mimicry not of other life, but of the environment itself. They register as heedless, odorless, silent, undetectable until they strike. Their greatest weapon is the illusion of absence. In all these forms, defensive biology shows that evolution does not only favor strength, it favors trickery, silence, and transformation. These are bodies designed not just to live, but to outlast every threat that ever touched their world. And now we begin to slow, turning toward perception itself, how alien life might experience time. Not as we do, but through their own flowing, alien pulse. Now we step into a current we barely understand. Time not as a ticking constant, but as something the body can feel, stretch, and fold. On Earth, our sense of time flows forward in regular pulses, seconds, minutes, days. We age, we sleep, we wait. But in alien biology, time may not move at the same speed for everyone. It may bend around metabolism, perception, and neural design. Their bodies may not only live in time, they may shape how time is experienced. Some alien beings might be born into environments where time passes differently, near massive planets, high radiation zones, or with gravitational shifts. To survive, their bodies adapt. Their cells may divide slowly, or their thoughts may run fast. For them, a heartbeat could stretch a full Earth hour, while a blink of light might contain 1,000 decisions. In highly evolved nervous systems, time perception might be adjustable. A creature sensing danger could speed its internal clock, processing each moment with heightened clarity. Every motion stretched into details, every sound unraveled. When peace returns, they slow down again, drifting in a calmer rhythm. They do not just experience time, they ride it. Some may evolve to perceive time cyclically. Their physiology is bound to celestial rhythms or energy waves. They do not mark time by numbers, but by phases, a deep pulse of sleep, then activity, then reflection, repeating in spirals. For them, memory is layered, not linear. Events are felt again and again, as their biology loops through echoes of itself. Others might live nearly outside time altogether. Their tissues regenerate endlessly. Their minds store not years, but millennia. They observe with the patience of stone, reacting only after decades of stillness. These creatures may seem unchanging, but inside, their perception moves slowly, deliberately. A choice could take a century. There are beings whose biology collapses time into flashes. Every experience stored instantly, every lesson integrated at once. Learning happens in seconds, growth in minutes. For them, memory is like fire, sudden, total, illuminating everything at once. And when memory is this complete, perhaps they live without future or past, only constant now. Some may even transmit time-based perception chemically, sharing their sense of duration with their kind. A pheromone that says wait, a neural pulse that signals this moment is long. Time becomes communal, not personal. They flow through events together, like synchronized swimmers in a tide they control. Alien perception of time isn't just about clocks or calendars. It is about biology, the pace of thought, the rhythm of emotion, the tempo of fear. It is about how a body lives, breathes, remembers. And now, as we shift again, we drift into forms that blur the line between flesh and machine, into anatomy powered by engines, guided by metal, and alive in ways we have never known. The hybrids await. Now we drift into a form that straddles two worlds, one built of cells and breath, the other of circuits and charge. In the alien realm, evolution does not always favor purity. It welcomes integration. It invites union between the organic and the synthetic, merging tissue with technology into something more resilient, more adaptive, and often more alien than either could be alone. These are not machines built by life. These are machines grown into life. In these hybrid beings, nerves may braid into wires, not as foreign additions, but as seamless continuations. Electrochemical pulses flow from brain to limb, and then continue along conductive filaments, grown intentionally, perhaps encoded genetically. Where blood once carried oxygen, now it might carry nanofluids that lubricate joints and regulate energy transfer. Their bloodstream may sparkle with metallic flex processors instead of platelets. Bones could be hollowed out and reinforced with polymer frameworks, flexible but unbreakable. These creatures move with mechanical elegance, every joint whisper smooth, every motion calibrated to minimize waste. Muscles may flex over alloy tendons, skin might be part chassis, a dynamic shell capable of flexing, folding, sensing pressure, and broadcasting data. A wound is not just healed, it is upgraded. Instead of eyes, some possess rotating sensor arrays embedded in the skull. They do not blink, they refocus. Their vision is thermal, electrical, ultraviolet. Their hearing is seismic. Their touch is pressure-mapped and multidimensional. Sensory inputs are not just interpreted, they are analyzed, predicted, and sometimes recorded. Memory might live not just in brain tissue, but in detachable biodrives grown alongside it. But these hybrids are not merely tools. Their biology is aware. The fusion is purposeful. The machine parts do not replace thought, they expand it. Emotions may be monitored by internal regulators, keeping chemical storms in balance. Logic circuits grow beside emotional cores, perhaps in the same tissue. Decision-making becomes layered, instinct and calculation braided together in a rhythm only they understand. Some may be born as hybrids, their species long adapted to biotech symbiosis. Others may integrate over time, inviting mechanical elements into their bodies like organs. Even reproduction might include this duality. Mechanical templates passed down with DNA, ensuring the next generation is part biology, part design. Communication in such beings might be a networked impulse transmitted, not just through voice or light, but through direct neural link, to bodies synchronizing thought in real time. Their culture, their memory, their very identities could be distributed, living both in brain and in network. They are not alone in themselves. And when parts fail, replacements are grown, not bolted, not grafted, grown. Cells coaxed to shape metal, programs encoded in proteins. Repair is evolution. Enhancement is tradition. Now we step into the quietest chamber of biology, the end. But in alien life, death is not always an absence. It can be transition, transmutation, or even preservation. Where earthly organisms collapse, rot, or are consumed, alien biology may follow different rules. Death might be chosen, it might be delayed, it might never truly arrive. And in some cases, it may not mean leaving the body at all. Some alien species may undergo molecular disassembly, a kind of biological unraveling. Enzymes activate within the body at a precise moment, triggered by time, light, or neural signal. The creature does not rot. It dissolves itself from within, releasing its components into the soil, the atmosphere, or a waiting relative. This is not decay, this is donation. Every molecule knows where to go. Others may host organisms within them whose purpose activates only after death. Symbiotic bacteria that awaken once the brain shuts down, beginning a controlled decomposition. These microbes are not parasites. They are caretakers, returning their host to the ecosystem with balance and precision. Death becomes an ecological ritual written in chemistry. On distant worlds, some beings might recycle their own matter in stages. The outer layers slough off first, becoming food for kin or fertilizer for plant life. Internal organs follow, folding in on themselves or hardening into capsules to protect genetic data. The final form is compact, a sealed legacy, ready to seed new life when conditions allow. Consciousness may not vanish entirely. In neural species where thought is distributed across tissues, death of one part may not end identity. Fragments of memory may linger in protein chains or in electrically charged filaments embedded in the environment. In forest dwellers or aquatic collectives, the fallen individual might continue to contribute to group decisions through biochemical echoes. Death becomes a low voice in the chorus, still singing. For some civilizations, biological death is a prelude to mental transfer. These beings encode their identities into quantum structures or protein crystals during life, storing them within a secondary organ or external pod. At death, the physical body is abandoned, but the mind is retrieved, planted in a fresh host, biological or synthetic. There may also be creatures that simulate death as a defense. To predators, they appear dead, odorless, unmoving, cold. But deep inside, cells shift into a dormant mode. Days, years, even centuries pass, and still they wait. One drop of water, one shift in radiation, and the body returns, not revived, but reawakened, whole. Alien death may seem unfamiliar, but its purpose remains strangely familiar. To make room for the next, to protect what came before, to cycle what was in to what will be. And from this turning point, we look ahead to the vast story of alien evolution, where biology stretches across time. reshaped again by the forces of survival, mutation, and cosmic chance. Now we drift into the long tide of change, not of moments or years, but of millennia shaped by gravity, atmosphere, radiation, and necessity. Alien physiology is not born perfect. It is crafted across ages by the relentless pressure of survival. What lives today on another world might once have been unrecognizable, and what lives tomorrow may be shaped by trials that have not yet arrived. Evolution is not a path, but a pulse, and in alien life, that pulse may beat in rhythms we've never imagined. On a high-gravity world, evolution favors beings built low and wide. Muscles thicken, bones become latticeworks of compressed strength, limbs shorten, organs rearrange to resist pressure. Blood, if it exists, may flow in tight, slow circuits to prevent collapse. Eyes sit sunken, lungs compact. The body becomes a fortress, but on low-gravity moons, life might float and stretch. Wings become membranes. Skeletons grow light or vanish entirely. Physiology evolves for gliding, drifting, listening. Limbs may split into tendrils. Respiration slows. Communication becomes chemical or magnetic. Organs evolve to detect subtle forces, shifts in planetary tilt, echoes in dust. On planets with dense toxic atmospheres, alien biology may seal itself. Skin becomes armor. Respiration happens internally through sealed pores or chemical filters. Digestive systems may be external, a predigestive field, like a mist that breaks down food before it enters the body. The organs adapt to filter, store, and convert hostile elements into usable fuel. Radiation shapes evolution with a strange hand. On highly irradiated worlds, life may develop repair systems so efficient they rebuild DNA within seconds. Some beings might evolve to feed on radiation, absorbing energy from storms, solar flares, even ambient cosmic noise. Their skin fluoresces. Their tissues pulse with electrical activity. Their very blood becomes a living battery. Evolution may also favor redundancy. 2 hearts, multiple brains, backup lungs. In environments where death can come swiftly, the body evolves alternatives. Lose one function, another takes over. These creatures don't just survive, they adapt in real time. Biology written like a fail-safe program. And then there are evolutionary leaps, rapid shifts caused by planetary catastrophe, viral rewriting, or technological interference. Whole species may reshape themselves in a single generation. Organs reprogram, muscles rewrite. Memory carries adaptation forward like inheritance. The physiology becomes fluid, malleable. Identity stretches with it. And perhaps the strangest possibility of all, evolution that responds not to the environment, but to thought. Belief reshapes the body. Collective emotion guides mutation. Physiology follows philosophy. Now we arrive at the edge, the end of this journey through the unknown body, through creatures that shimmer, shift, and survive in ways our science only begins to touch. But as strange as alien biology may be, it holds a mirror to our own. Every pulsing organ, every split nerve, every glowing cell from across the stars invites us to ask a deeper question. What does it mean to be alive? Alien biology teaches us that life is not a fixed form. It is a process, a dance with environment, a response to pressure and time. Whether built from carbon, silicon, or something yet unnamed, life bends to survive. It finds new ways to think, to feed, to reproduce, to protect. And in doing so, it challenges the limits of imagination. We may dream of bipedal visitors or green-skinned beings, but the truth is more diverse, more intricate, more breathtakingly adaptive. The beings we have explored may breathe gas we cannot survive, may see colors we'll never name, may feel emotions as scent or taste or shifting heat. They may not have eyes or lungs or blood. They may not speak in words or dream in sleep, and yet they are alive. They grow, they feel, they change. Their bodies, like ours, are shaped by history, by struggle, by love and danger. They tell a story, not just of themselves, but of the universe's relentless creativity. Looking outward reveals what we take for granted within, that our own biology, however familiar, is extraordinary. A heart that never sleeps, lungs that fold and unfold like wings, neurons that spark thoughts from stardust. We are alien too, when seen from afar. And that is the beauty of this exploration. It collapses distance, it softens borders. It reminds us that life, in all its forms, is a shared miracle. Perhaps, if we one day meet these beings, whether in flesh or field, in code or consciousness, we will greet them not with fear, but with recognition, not as monsters, but as cousins, born not of the same body, but of the same need to live, to learn, to reach outward. And so we end where we began, in wonder. Let this be a reminder that biology is not the study of limits, but the study of what becomes possible when atoms are given time and intention. Whether coiled in blood or flowing in light, life is always reaching for more. Thank you for drifting through this cosmic anatomy with me. If you enjoyed this series, I'd love to know which part fascinated you the most. Which world would you visit first? Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what strange subject you'd like to fall asleep to next. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And now, let your mind soften. You are safe. You are curious. You are part of something vast. Good night.